Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about what could happen in chapter 167 of One Punch Man. Now, I haven't made one of these in quite a long time, so, I may be rusty, but the reason I've been gone for so long is because I've been working on a really huge video that I dropped like 3 days ago. The video isn't doing as well as I thought it was going to, but, the support under it is it's always all appreciated. So, if you could check that out, then that would really be, that would really help me out a lot. But of course, before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, because if you can't already tell, I post a lot of One Punch Man content, and of course I'm going to be back on my Barky content on my Record of Ragnarok. I'm even hoping to implement some new series here and there just to expand the channel just a tiny bit. But of course, let's just get into the video because it's quite a few stuff to talk about, especially in the last few chapters that I may not have only made chapter reviews on and not follow-up videos. So starting off with, I guess, the biggest thing that happened in the last chapter, which I guess you can kind of say two things with the biggest thing in the last chapter, and in my opinion, I would say the biggest thing is probably Saitama's like serious punch. I'm not too sure how serious this punch is, and don't get your hopes up too high. Like, I don't think Saitama is like going all out here. I'm pretty sure Saitama's like, imagine someone like stepping on your toe or something, or like stepping on your toe really hard. Or is that a bad analogy? I feel like Saitama just isn't going for his full power right now, because I mean, sure, his face is like blacked out, and he has that serious death punch that he did, that look that he did when he was against Genos at the start of the series when they did like a practice battle. But I still think Saitama just isn't using his full power. There's something about it that's saying, I guess Saitama may be a little bit angry but isn't really angry. But of course, now that we know that also Genos might be dead, and personally, when it comes to that, I don't think Genos is dead, because there's many reasons why he's not dead. Because first of all, he's Genos. I mean, he's like the second most important character in the series, aside from Saitama. So I'm not too sure if he's dead completely, or maybe this is just like for shock value, which I'm pretty sure it is just for shock value and just to get the hype up and get all the readers interested. Now, of course, Genos could also be dead, which I guess would be pretty big, because I mean, that would be a huge shift in the entire story, since in the webcomic it did not happen like that, and that would mean the manga would be like 100% going like straight from the webcomic. Like, they're two different things. Well, I guess the story is the same, but can you really say the story is the same if we're assuming Genos is dead? I'm not too sure if you can, but personally, as I said before, I don't think Genos is dead, because he's Genos, and I mean, when Garou threw the core to Saitama, it was still intact. The whole like energy inside of it, obviously it's been put out, because Genos is like depleted, I guess. I wouldn't say dead. I don't want to use the term dead, because I genuinely don't think he's dead, but it's like turned off, I guess. It's like if you're unconscious, or maybe this is a different level of unconscious, because I mean, Genos is face planted on the floor and he does look pretty dead to me. But I am pretty sure that Genos will either be, revealed to be dead or alive in the next coming chapters. I don't believe Genos will be revealed to be dead or alive in the next chapter, because I feel like that's pretty soon. I feel like, we're going to get transported to like a different dimension, or we might get transported to the moon or something. And then Saitama and, Garou will fight on the moon. And then maybe, maybe 2 or 3 chapters later, we switch back to Genos. And, or maybe when Saitama versus Garou is ended completely, we shift to Genos, and then we see if he's dead or if he's like alive or whatever, and that's when we'll finally see if he's really dead or alive. And I can bet you now that he's probably not dead. Now, moving on to what I think will happen between Saitama versus Garou. Now, if you guys don't already know what's happened, Garou basically has accepted the god powers, and he's now pretty much Cosmic Fear Awakened Garou, which I guess is the strongest monster we've seen so far in the series, or strongest being, because I'm pretty sure we can all agree now that Garou is stronger than Boros. And despite how much that hurts me to say, I feel like Meteoric Boros has finally been surpassed after like decades, or maybe even just like years. Maybe it's not a decade, but I'm pretty sure it's been many years that someone has actually been able to surpass Boros in terms of strength. And I mean, I guess that's Garou, and I can definitely say that Garou is a lot stronger than Boros. He's not only just like a little bit stronger, he's like a lot stronger. Like in a fight, he would probably like low diff Boros, or maybe even like no diff. But I don't want to go too far to, you know, put disrespect on Boros's name, but you know, I'm pretty sure Garou would low diff Boros at this point. Now in the next chapter, we'll obviously see Saitama versus Garou. If we shift our attention away from Saitama versus Garou, then I genuinely wouldn't know what to do, because I mean, building on the hype is really what Murata and One should be doing now. I don't think they should be like shifting our attention to anything that would, you know, make us lose interest. Don't get me wrong, they're gonna eventually have to do it because we still haven't seen Psychos versus Fubuki, but I feel like he should do it at a more, you know, reasonable time. I feel like now there's too much, you know, going on to actually shift our attention away from, you know, this crazy fight that's happening. Now, do I think Saitama will lose this? I've heard a lot of that going around, and once again, it's Saitama. Saitama is not going to lose. Now, do I think Garou is going to survive? That's the real question. And I do think he will survive this serious punch, because, I mean, if he's taken out in this one punch, then what would be the point in bringing in Cosmic, you know, Fear Awakened Garou? It wouldn't make any sense. So Saitama, I guess, you know, matching Garou here would make the most sense. And I mean, Garou will probably like be taken out in like maybe 2 or 3 chapters. I would say 2 or 3 long chapters of just consecutive fights and non-stop action. I'm pretty sure that's when Garou will finally be taken out, because I mean, who's really surviving more than like 5 chapters against Saitama? Let's be honest, nobody, because I mean, it's Saitama. But I mean, Garou is on a completely different level to what we've ever seen before in the series, so maybe he'll be the first one to give Saitama somewhat of a challenge, well, more of a challenge than when he faced off against Boros. Now, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments about who you think is stronger between Boros versus Garou. I'm expecting everybody to say Garou, but I know there's always that one person that might think against the masses and say something else, and might have some crazy calculations to really see that, you know, Boros is actually stronger, or Boros is not as weak as we think in comparison to Garou. I feel like someone might be able to justify that statement, but you know, I'm not a power scaler, so you know, I don't do all the calcs, so I rely on the smart people to do that. But apart from that, that's pretty much all I think that's going to happen in the next chapter. The next chapter is pretty much just going to be Garou versus Saitama, just a lot more focused on them, because in the last chapter we got a lot of dialogue between Blast and, you know, Garou and all of that stuff, and I even forgot to really talk about Blast in this video, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do like a whole separate video for him, because Blast showing up here in itself is pretty crazy. So you know, that's for a different video. This is like just what I think will happen in the next chapter, and I really don't think Blast will necessarily play a huge role in the next chapter, apart from transporting them to a different dimension. I don't think Blast is going to be, you know, involved in any more fights in this arc per se. Pretty sure, you know, the fighting with Blast is done for now. Emphasis on for now, because I'm sure Blast will definitely fight later on in the series. But apart from that, that's all I have to say in this video. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, don't. But apart from that, I'll see you in my next video.